Well, Dov Waxman is a professor of Israel Studies and Political Science at UCLA. He joins us from Los Angeles now. Thanks for being with us. What do you make of Benjamin Netanyahu's plea for forgiveness? Does that relieve any pressure on him at all?
No, I don't think that's going to make any difference to the Israelis who are demanding a deal, and particularly to the families of the hostages who have been really at the forefront of making these demands. I think Netanyahu's press conference is only going to make them even more determined to apply more pressure on the Prime Minister to make a deal. But as it seems by his press conference, that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not willing to make a deal, at least on the terms that we know of.
US President Joe Biden, when asked if Netanyahu was doing enough, he said no. That relationship doesn't appear to be improving, does it?
It doesn't, but at the same time, President Biden's comment is somewhat contradicted by his own Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, who in a recent visit, publicly said that Netanyahu had accepted the deal and that all the onus was on Hamas. So I think there's some mixed messages coming out of the Biden administration. I think the president does want to clearly increase the pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu to accept a deal, but that kind of statement, I think, is unlikely to work to really convince Netanyahu to change his position.
What are the chances then of any ceasefire deal, in your opinion?
Almost non-existent, unfortunately. It really depends upon three men, President Biden, of course, but first and foremost, Netanyahu and Yahya Sinwar. I don't think Sinwar or Netanyahu really feel under a great amount of pressure to reach an agreement, despite the demands of their own domestic publics. And I don't think there is really, unfortunately, any agreement that can be put forward that is likely to be satisfactory to both men. We'll see what the Biden administration present maybe later this week in a bridging proposal, but it's very hard to imagine Sinwar either giving up his demand that the IDF withdraw from the border with Egypt, or Netanyahu giving up his demand for the IDF to stay there. So unfortunately, I think there's really very, very slim prospects of an agreement.
Given what you say then, are there any grounds for optimism both in Gaza and indeed the wider regional concerns?
I wish there were, and I hate to be pessimistic. I think so much hinged on reaching this ceasefire hostage deal, not only for the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, but also for the wider region, because, of course, it's not just a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas that hostage deal would bring about, but also a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. And there's the real potential for that already volatile situation to escalate into a wider war. So much depends upon the ability to reach this agreement, but I think it's very unlikely. Perhaps there will be some sort of face-saving measure to at least allow for the appearance of talks to continue, if only to maintain people's hopes and to ensure that the situation between Israel and Hezbollah in particular doesn't escalate.
Dov Waxman, thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.